So this is my aunt, and I'll be interviewing her for this task of GOA. So the first question is, what is your name?
My name is Patty Murray,
Sorry. How old are you?
59,
Where were you born?
Pembroke, Ontario.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Barry's Bay, Ontario.
Did you like living there?
I loved living there.
What do you do for a living now?
I am a national account manager for a consumer products company.
And do you like that job?
I do.
Describe what your siblings were like and who are you closest to out of them?
Oh gosh, I don't want to get in any trouble here. My siblings were all quite different. We were all pretty independent, I would say. We were all pretty athletic and enjoyed sports. We ate dinner together every night and often had lunch together as well. So there was a lot of time together with everyone. The one I was closest to was when I was growing up was my sister Lynn. I was closest to her. She was 2 years older than me.
Okay. Describe the house you grew up in.
The house I grew up in was a ranch-style home. It was had 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, a living room and a family room. We spent most of the time in the family room. We spent almost no time in the living room except when we were really young before the family room was built. And yeah, hardwood floors, lots of wood because our family was in the lumber industry. So we had there was lots of natural wood around the house.
And what was your room like?
My room, I shared a room with my sister Lynn, and we had a queen-size bed with sort of brown paneling on the, brown paneling on the walls. There was a light fixture that all the rooms had this, all the bedrooms had the same light fixture, and they're still in the house to this day. Two big closets. One of the closets was for Lynn and I, and the other one was was cedar lined and was for winter coats and storing winter things.
What was your favorite family vacation that you can remember when you were younger?
You know what? We didn't really go on family vacations. The only one we had 6 kids, and it wasn't common for parents when they went on vacation to take all the kids with them. That was something that my generation started, I think, with our children. But I do remember one vacation. It was just me and my brother Ted, who is your father, and I went with Mom and Dad and my Aunt Noreen and Dorian, and we went to Prince Edward Island. And I just remember it being, I remember riding a horse for the first time. I remember seeing Anne of Green Gables' house. It was actually quite a beautiful place.
And how did you interpret school? Did you like it? And who were like your best, closest friends?
Well, in grade school, I did like school, although I always felt like I wasn't really measuring up, that I should be doing better, but apparently that wasn't really the case. It was just my own feelings about how I was doing. My best friend was Mary O'Malley, and we were best friends until, I guess, grade 9, and yeah, I liked school.
Did you ever get bullied?
Yes, I was bullied once that I recall. I'm sure I was bullied more though. Yeah, actually, I was bullied a few times. I remember in grade school being bullied by a kid my age who, he was kind of more fooling around than bullying. But I think by today's standards, he was a bully, and not so much in high school. I don't recall being bullied actually that much.
In high school, what were your favorite hobbies?
In high school, my favorite hobbies were playing volleyball, basketball, almost any sport. We used to do this kind of tennis in the wintertime, and just in the gymnasium. It was one of the intramural sports, and I loved that. Um, what other things? I did band and drama. I was on the student council. Yeah, we had a lot of different hobbies.
At that point in time, what did you want to be when you were going to grow up?
I had no idea what I wanted to be. I knew I didn't want to be a teacher or a nurse. Um, yeah, I really didn't know what I wanted to be, and I didn't even know what I wanted to be after I graduated from university. So, yeah, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Can you recall any sort of like relationship change between you and your parents when you kind of like became a teenager?
Yes, I do remember. More with my mom than with my dad. I don't really recall Dad's reaction to me becoming a teenager, but yes, I remember Mom. She never really didn't really say anything, but she didn't approve of when I started wearing makeup, and it was probably too much makeup. And I remember wearing high-heeled shoes to go out, and now I just think about how ridiculous I must have looked. But I think she really understood that it was just a phase that I was going through, and it didn't last very long. But I do remember that. And I remember when Lynn went away to university, I was 17, and our relationship changed then because I found that things were really out of balance for me. All of a sudden, I was the oldest girl in the house, and yeah, I felt a lot of pressure, and I think I took it out on Mom, and I feel kind of bad for that today.
So when you look back at like your high school memories, did you think that there were any like kind of like cliques or like different groups like band geeks or like just band or like versus sports or something like that?
There were absolutely cliques in the school. There, and we had names for all the cliques, or some of the cliques, not all of them. But I remember really clearly one of my teachers really chastising me because I called out one of the cliques that was considered to be kind of the unpopular kids, and they were often the kids. They didn't have a lot of money. They didn't wear nice clothes, and it was now when I think about it, it was very sad that they were kind of off in this area of the cafeteria, and we all sat in different sections of the cafeteria, and that's sort of how the cliques were. You could identify them.
And which did you identify as?
I moved in and out of different cliques. I was one of the sports people. I was also fairly academic, so I could move in and out of that circle. I was in the band and the glee club, so I could move in and out of those different circles. So I was able to kind of move back and forth. But I would say if I had to choose one, it was probably the sports clique.
What were your plans for when you finished high school?
My plans when I finished high school was to go away to university.
And did your parents approve of that? Like of your decision of like what like course you were going to take and everything?
Yes.
Did your friends have any input on it? Or like tell you like how they felt about?
No, not really. I remember I was the only one from my class going to the university that I went to, and I felt a little left out that none of my friends were coming to Queens with me, and I was going to have to kind of go it alone to some extent, although my sister was there. But otherwise, no, not. I don't recall anybody. We just all had our own plans and were going off and doing our own things.
Did the boys versus the girls in the family have different plans, and like did your parents have different expectations for like your brothers versus your sisters?
As far as education?
Yeah.
No. We all were expected to, I think it was kind of an expectation that our parents had that we would all go away to university or college.
What advice would you give to someone today who is contemplating like a serious relationship?
I would say a serious relationship. Well, I wouldn't give too much advice, to be honest with you. I think people have to live out their own relationships, and it's normal to be in relationships when we're in our teenage years. So I wouldn't probably give a lot of advice except to say try not to get too serious about it and to stay focused on what your goals are and true to yourself in the relationship.
How many, or do you have kids? How many and how old are they?
I have 3 kids. They are I have to think, 23, 25, and 28.
What were they each like when they were younger?
Anne, who's the oldest, was very curious, asked so many questions, and she still does. But she was very, very curious. She was quieter, a little more introspective, a little bit of OCD. She liked things to be in their proper places and order. And she had a few very good friends, very close friends, and they were all very loyal to one another. Terry, my second and middle child, Terry was a lot more outspoken, outgoing, would tell you what she was feeling when she was unhappy. She was a lot more vocal, and yeah, she was a little more aggressive, I guess, and very busy. I'm just trying to think. She had many friends. Many good friends, and she sort of moved around with different cliques, as did Anne. Thomas was kind of the family jokester, and he was very amiable. He didn't say too much at home, I found, when he was younger, but that soon changed when he went into high school. He was a little more vocal, but he was always very funny, and actually all 3 kids have a great sense of humor.
And last one, what values did you try to raise your children with, and like how did you go about doing that?
I think the values that we wanted our kids to have mostly was to be kind and loving towards people, to be honest, and to accept responsibility for their actions. And how we went about doing that was, if we heard about a situation at school, if one of the kids mentioned that there was some bullying going on, we would talk about it and discuss what an appropriate way to deal with the situation was, and emphasized kindness and thoughtfulness, and also understanding that we don't know the whole picture of the person who's either doing the bullying or the one who's the recipient of the bullying. And then as far as taking responsibility for their actions, I remember some teachers, if they came with some issues they were having with the kids in grade school, for example, we didn't defend the kids. What we did was we talked to our children and asked them to take responsibility for their actions, and then to accept the repercussions for whatever it was that they had done.
Well, thank you for letting me do this interview with you.
Thank you, Abby.